Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. Zongmang. Starting from daily fantasy, Enchanting the World Traveling through the world of daily fusion in anime, Jiang Qijun decided to bring the healing, depression, anime from his past life to this world. Because it has rained, others cannot hold umbrellas either. Then, in the world of anime, there are more tear-jerking demon kings, warriors of love, and strategic partners of blade factories. If I had known in advance that this guy was making tear-jerking anime, I wouldn't have invested in it no matter what. Yubi Bin Jieyi said, "Why are all the knives in the anime?" I can't believe what Jiang Qijun said, even the punctuation marks. I think Jiang Qijun lacks common sense in life. Why does a common cold lead to death, said Xue Zhi XueAudience. Garbage Jiang Qijun, I won't even watch the anime he participates in making in the future. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Junk Animation Company. You are listening at novelfull.audio. So, even if I apply for company bankruptcy, I still need to compensate for employee compensation and labor insurance costs. Not only about debt issues, Mr. Jiang Qijun is also using his house as collateral for a loan in BOJ, if it cannot be repaid in a timely manner. We will auction the house and require your cooperation in moving out. Jiang Qijun looked at the piled-up debt contracts on the desk and fell into a brief contemplation, following the routine of inheriting billions of dollars in science fiction movies from his past life. Not appearing on oneself. Even after the company filed for bankruptcy, he still needs to pay 31.5 million yen to employees and repay to BOJ Bank huge debt. To some extent, he can also be considered a billionaire. Jiang Qi, you currently do not have a guardian. If you need to apply for the company's bankruptcy process, we will help you find legal aid for free. The staff of BOJ, Neon Central Bank, sat in chairs and suggested in a gentle tone, not wanting to add psychological pressure to Jiang Qijun. After all, while ordinary high school students lose their loved ones, they also need to inherit a huge amount of debt, which is something that no one wants to face. The most crucial thing is that Jiang Qijun is now an important customer of the bank, and if he has any thoughts that he can't take away, that means there is a high possibility of an additional bad debt. After fully informing the work situation, the middle-aged uncle who works in BOJ kindly reminded, actually. Article 924 of the Civil Code allows Jiang Qi to consult a lawyer to understand. Okay, I will seriously consider it. After a moment of silence, Jiang Qijun did not provide an accurate answer directly. It is clear that if one signs on their own, while bearing debts, the final house will be taken away by the bank and auctioned off. If needed, you can call the number here. The BOJ staff did not urge and left the business card on the desk, so they left the empty president's office with their briefcase. Looking at the back of the bank staff, Jiang Qijun felt like cursing, "Dad." I've seen a lot of news about King Dad and King Son, and I've even met them. When it comes to the Ghost Festival, I'll specify not to burn paper money for you. Even if you go to hell, you don't want to eat 3 dishes. Jiang Qijun's face was not good, lying on the soft sofa in the office of the president of DBS Animation Society, closing his eyes and letting his thoughts go. It belongs to me that I have caused embarrassment to the traveler. It has been 17 years since he was reborn into the world of anime, and the typical protagonist starts with his mother passing away early and his father being an unreliable jerk. Without telling Jiang Qijun, he was tricked into opening an animation agency, and then all his wealth was taken away by scammers, owing hundreds of millions of yen to the bank. Perhaps I feel ashamed to face Jiang Qijun and his deceased wife. Directly choose to end his life by sinking with cement in Tokyo Bay, leaving all the mess to Jiang Qijun. If it weren't for today's bank staff finding the school, he didn't even know that he was forced to inherit so much debt. If he carried the necessary system cheats after traveling, Jiang Qijun wouldn't be so melancholic, and he didn't have the key golden finger either. Now, there are only two options available for him to choose from. Investing in a resentful company, taking over DBS Animation Society, and changing management to continue operations, but this is only a daydream. I really have so much money, just start a new animation company. Who would spend several times the price to become a receiver? At the very least, Jiang Qijun couldn't figure it out, and the second path before him was to apply for company bankruptcy and carry out property liquidation. But the consequence that needs to be borne is to settle the employee's salary, labor insurance, and the residential house will be taken away by the court. Then, even according to the debt inheritance regulations of the Neon Civil Code, he still has to bear a minimum debt of approximately 220 million yen to repay. Even if we use our high school spare time to work, the working hours for minors are limited here. Whether one can rent a house to support oneself is a question. There's no room for choice at all. Jiang Qijun couldn't think of any solution and looked at the well-sized DBS Animation Society through a transparent tempered glass wall. Some workstations have been cleared. The remaining three halves of the animation company employees seem to be aware of the company's ultimate fate, and most of them are absent-minded. As for changing the status quo, Jiang Qijun, a former painter and part-time second-timer in his previous life, has no experience in this field and no mind to manage an animation agency that is on the verge of bankruptcy. DBS Animation Society has only been established for half a year now, without any anime works, and the script planning has been poorly defended. It's impossible to expect this amateur animation company to turn things around, right? When Jiang Qijun thought of this, his originally bewildered expression instantly disappeared. After all, there were no golden fingers living in the world of anime for 17 years. He almost forgot his identity as a time traveler. Looking back at the fundamental problem with the collapse of animation companies, it is due to a broken funding chain, inability to pay employee salaries, and inability to produce new animation plans. Without a new anime project, there is no way to make money and maintain the company's operations in a strange circle. Does that mean as long as you can come up with a popular anime project from your past life and find wealthy investors, as long as you can make a profit? Can even the debt problem be resolved smoothly? As an action-oriented person, Jiang Qijun thought of this and decisively searched for popular anime from his past life on his phone, which was the same as expected. Although we are in a world of integrated manga and manga. But many anime that went viral before crossing time have no news, and even the overall development of the anime industry is relatively backward. It seems like there's something going on. After a brief browse, Jiang Qijun, who wanted to put it off, immediately saw hope as long as he managed to attract investment, maintain the normal operation and output of DBS Animation Society. The exciting life that has not yet begun is not completely finished. Utilizing the skills of previous artists and following the path of a porter, create an anime project that satisfies oneself and can attract investment. Is this okay without hands? Then, Jiang Qijun, who has traveled to the world of manga for 17 years, discovers the problem. He only has vague concepts about the thousands of anime he has watched in his past life, especially the explosive IPs of Dead Fire Sea and Ghost Slayer. I can't even recall the main idea, let alone create a complete business plan. On the contrary, it is the countless classic tear healing animations from his past life that Jiang Qijun can even recall the character design and various details of the animation. It seems that we can only do tear-jerking animations. Don't blame your buddies for not being a good person. If the debt problem is not solved, there will probably be no chance of turning things around in this lifetime. Jiang Qijun sighed, but the slightly upturned corners of his mouth represented his mood, indicating that various anime IPs that were popular in his past life could definitely make money. Simple sharing of passion and happiness. This is clearly not his style. After all, he has been soaked in rain in his past life, traveled to the world of manga, and had the opportunity to make tear-jerking anime. Jiang Qijun feels that it is necessary to tear off the umbrella directly and give the audience a bit of healing shock. After firmly believing, he decisively created a new Word document on his computer and quickly typed the first anime project on the keyboard. Clannad. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 2. Clannad, with the goal of healing the world. You are listening at novelfull.audio. For the overall industry, Jiang Qijun is not particularly familiar with it. After all, the popular anime in his past life was mostly modified from manga and light novels. The profit model is relatively clear, and after the anime is broadcasted, it will benefit passers-by and help increase sales of comics and light novels. If it's a big IP, just copyright fees and peripheral products are unimaginable income, but Jiang Qijun's path is completely different. Creating original content out of nothing can only rely on playing copyrights and BD discs. If the audience is willing, Clannad's anime can also release a game called Gal Game in the future, even if it cannot be shown on TV. Just selling CDs and games should be able to alleviate financial pressure. Choosing Clannad as DBS Animation's first anime project, Jiang Qijun considered a comprehensive range of factors. If IP can make a hit, whether it's the game or the surrounding areas of the group, sales will definitely not be poor. Most importantly, this anime has a relatively ancient art style and has a style from the early 21st century. If we explain it in Chinese, it does not pursue image quality. Very cost-effective. After all, DBS is just a small and rundown company now. If it is a high investment cost anime, there will definitely be no big enemies to find. An animation with an average duration of 24 minutes. The production cost for each episode is approximately 10 to 12 million yen, and if we pursue image quality, it is estimated that the final production cost will increase several times. The reason for choosing the anime, Clannad, is partly due to its artistic style, which means that the funding requirements will not be too high. This can also be considered a good planning highlight after removing the healing system. As long as it can make the capital pay and attract investment. Jiang Qijun has confidence in perfectly replicating Clannad, and with excitement, he quickly writes and plans. Anime theme types, work introductions, theme introductions. Overall, there is no difference in writing online articles from previous lives. Simply summarize the story, as there are memories imprinted in the mind from previous lives. The project proposal was quickly completed. It should be no problem. Putting down the keyboard in his hand, Jiang Qijun scrutinized the proposal on the screen, perfectly restoring its organization and narrative. The visual sense is extremely strong, but this is only for him, who has memories of his past life and has completed the game. Whether he can win the favor of the management, there is no absolute certainty. I always feel like something is missing. Then add the script for the previous 3 anime episodes, and that should be it. Jiang Qijun, who was immersed in script production, did not notice the rapid passage of time. After browsing the business plan, he confirmed that there was no problem. He breathed a complete sigh of relief. Rubbing my tired and sour eyes, I was about to go to the windowsill to gaze and relax when the office door was suddenly pushed open. That. The president of the society. Jiang Qijun looked at the girl who had broken into the office, who was probably in her early 20s and had not yet shed her youthful charm. As it is my first time coming to DBS Animation Society, I am mostly unfamiliar with unfamiliar faces. Through the work card, he learned that this was Heizuka Rina from the production team, who held the position of assistant, which means it sounds more pleasant. Placed in this neon workplace where seniority is highly valued, it's actually just doing odd jobs. After arriving at the president's office, even facing Jiang Qijun, who looked like a high school student, Rina Heizuka still felt a bit nervous and said, "Jiang Qijun, Mr. Tongu from the production team. He wants to invite you outside to chat. 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 Jiang Qijun frowned slightly and looked at the numerous employees gathered outside the office, knowing without hesitation what was happening next. DBS Animation President, his resentful father committed suicide and his salary cannot be paid. Then, inheriting all of the company's assets is still a minor high school student, and normal people definitely cannot see the future. It can't even be considered as forcing the palace. It is probably just a simple desire to inquire about the specific arrangements of the animation company in the future, or it may be a desire to submit a resignation letter, etc. Sure, I happen to have arrangements regarding DBS Animation Society's follow.up. Lingna Hayasaka's gaze was clearly somewhat surprised, and she followed in the footsteps of Jiang Qijun and arrived at the office area of DBS Animation Society. Looking around, about 50% of the workstations have been cleared of personal belongings after removing office equipment, leaving behind a resignation letter. Wait until noon. There are still around 60 people, including employees from various departments. When they saw the new president of DBS Animation Society, their expressions were quite complicated. Lost, helpless, lost. Finally, various expressions converged into sighs, and the earliest to learn that the DBS president had committed suicide was a high school student who inherited the company. This already means that the Animation Society has come to an end. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Jiang Qijun, a new member of DBS Animation Society. May I ask who is Mr. Tonggu from the production team? Jiang Qijun's gaze swept over the crowd without any stage fright, even considering how to draw a big cake for the employees. With this anime proposal, there is definitely no problem attracting investment. As for employee turnover, as long as he has funds in hand, he is not worried at all. Even through this bankruptcy scandal, employees in the DBS animation community who want to become gangsters and fish in troubled waters can be eliminated. Jiang Qi. President Jiang Qi. The person initiating this conversation is Toshiya Noyoshi, a middle-aged man with snow-white temples and an age of about 40, from the production team. He didn't expect Jiang Qijun, who inherits DBS Animation Society, would be so young. President Jiang Qi, regarding the follow-up arrangements of DBS Animation Society. The animation company has encountered significant changes, which should be something that everyone can see for themselves. Jiang Qijun's face did not change and he said without concealing anything, the current situation of the company is that the funding chain is broken, and we cannot afford to pay everyone's salary temporarily. If you don't want to resign for the time being, I will arrange a new job task, but the salary may not be paid temporarily. Employees who have decided to resign can register at Hayasaka Lingnai. In terms of economic compensation, I will try my best to find a solution for everyone. If there is a company that I am interested in, I can help open an introduction letter here. Everything is clear to everyone, and even if there is a desire to resign, Jiang Qijun feels that he can understand it very well. After all, people have to eat, and so does the author. The premise for drawing pancakes for employees is that the company can operate normally and is currently going bankrupt. No one wants to eat this pancake even if it is drawn. An expression of, as expected, flashed on Tomiya Noyoshi's face, and his eyes instantly dimmed. He remained silent and did not respond. On the contrary, it was Lingna Hayasaka who heard the key point in Jiang Qijun's words. If there is no intention of leaving, you can continue to stay in the company, at the cost of not being able to pay your salary temporarily during this period. Does that mean that the new president has not yet announced the idea of dissolving the company? After hearing Jiang Qijun's words, many employees gathered here, especially the young people who encouraged Tongtan Yeliang to talk to the new president. Instantly restless. I don't even know who the jerk is. He tricked me into coming to this animation company. If he had known, he would have gone to AKS and couldn't even afford his salary. I don't think I want to apply for bankruptcy of the company. Is there still property that hasn't been transferred? Can you all say a few words less? It's not a problem for the new president of the animation company to get into this situation. No one wants this. Society. President, I want to resign. Jiang Qijun's face did not change. The scene he had anticipated before making the decision was just watching these employees leave. Patiently explaining the issues related to salary distribution and labor insurance only took a moment, as there was originally an office with over 60 people. In an instant, there were only over 20 people left. Among them, there are several familiar faces, including the head of the production team, Toshio Tomiya and Rina Hayasaka, as well as the few remaining single seedlings from each department. As the first batch of employees of DBS Animation Society, they didn't speak at this time, just turned their attention to Jiang Qijun. Waiting for the next arrangements. Lingnai Hayasaka handed the list to Jiang Qijun and continued to stay in place. President. This is the list of departing employees. Line. Jiang Qijun nodded and said, slightly surprised, indicating that he could not continue to pay his wages, and there were still 25 employees left behind. Obviously, there is no future DBS Animation Society, and surprisingly, there are so many employees who love to generate electricity, at least in the early stage of animation production. Don't be particularly anxious. There is no previous serious atmosphere. Jiang Qijun's handsome face, with a slightly raised corner of his mouth, said in a cheerful tone, "Thank you very much for staying at DBS. Then. I hope everyone can be mentally prepared. Due to the heavy workload ahead, we will strive to produce the promotional PV for the new anime project within 15 days. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 3. The President is a twisted newcomer, a shocking system. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Many employees who choose to stay at DBS Animation Company without pay, such as Toshio Tomiya and Rina Hayasaka, mostly join this amateur animation company with their dreams in mind. Although there are no works, it can still be considered as witnessing the company's development from zero to bankruptcy. I naturally have feelings for DBS, even if the company is in a stage of bankruptcy at any time, if it can receive outsourcing projects. Maintaining operation is definitely not a problem. It's just that there will be a discount in terms of salary, and as for Jiang Qijun's future work arrangements, they have no expectations. Even if you hear the president announced that there will be a new anime project coming up, and the promotional PV for the new anime must be produced within 15 days. They all looked at each other and did not show any too obvious signs. It is certain that this new president is also a purely amateur player, and if you want to create a new anime project, you do not have any script or funding in all aspects. It's impossible, expect them to rub their hands out, right? President, if you want to create a new anime. DBS Animation Society currently has no financial support at all. The person in charge of the production, Toshio Tomiya, replied after a moment of silence. Jiang Qijun's face did not feel strange about the lackluster reactions of the employees, and reality was not the same as the previous life's novel routine. After coming up with an anime project, everyone was shocked and started generating power for love, and then created an anime that directly propelled the industry towards the pinnacle of life. It is obvious that this situation is simply impossible to occur. The company is on the brink of bankruptcy, and the new president is a layman, high school student with a rhythm of various buffs stacked directly. Being able to stay here can be considered as DBS Animation Society's accumulation of virtues and good deeds. Jiang Qijun looked at the girl next to him and asked decisively, "Hayasaka Lingna, does the company have a printer that can be used normally?" Yes. After receiving the USB drive from Jiang Qijun, Lingnai Hayasaka's business capability was online, and he quickly started operating the printer. Please note the reason for the file signature. She quickly printed out the anime proposal for Clannad and, suppressing her curiosity, handed it to the new president with both hands. "Let's chat in another place." Jiang Qijun's gaze turned to the production team led by Tomiya Yoshitaka, who was able to represent his employees in conversations with him, as long as the Clannad project could impress him. DBS Animation Society can at least stabilize for a period of time. Tonggu Yelyang was a relatively quiet middle-aged man who nodded lightly and followed Jiang Qijun's footsteps to the president's office. The original position of Jiang Qijun has now been replaced with a brand new face. He had a somewhat bewildered expression, feeling frustrated in other animation production companies, but was invited by the former president for recognition. "I want to make a name for myself in DBS Animation Society and not disappoint Jiang Qijun and her expectations." But he never expected to fall into such a field, and it was precisely the appreciation of the former president that made him continue to choose to stick to the company. "This is a new anime project, take a look." "Okay, President." Tonggu Yelyang nodded seriously and replied, picking up the plan book that Jiang Qijun had placed on the table and quietly flipping through it. As the person in charge of the production process, he, with his professional ethics online, looked at the well-organized and perfectly narrative, Clannad, project proposal with a surprised expression on his face. Tonggu Yelyang even did a good job, and this anime project was a psychological preparation for Jiang Qijun's wild ideas, but the final content presented. But completely beyond his imagination. The very common theme of beautiful girl anime, which is slightly outdated in the current industry environment, has a strong sense of gal games from the early 21st century. A delinquent teenager's life changes after encountering a beautiful girl. After browsing through the genres and introductions of Clannad, the plot was roughly drawn in by Yoshitaka Tomiya. The plot of this original anime basically, each unit is pushed forward, but unlike ordinary unit dramas, Clannad has a complete main storyline running through it. Even at the end of the outline, there are actually scripts for the first 3 episodes attached. Yoshitaka Tomiya watched carefully, and even his heart suddenly had the idea to create this anime project. He has worked in many animation companies. Unless it's those industry giants, if it's an ordinary scale anime company, it definitely can't come up with such a plan. Taking a deep breath, Toshiya Yoshitaka's proposal was placed on the table, and it was clear that the new president was eager to change the situation of DBS Animation Society. Although it is unclear how Jiang Qijun, as a high school student, achieved it. But it is clear that this anime can definitely turn the tide for the animation company, and it is even very likely to gain a direct reputation in the industry. "Is this your original animation?" President asked Tomiya Yoshitaka earnestly after sitting upright and taking it seriously. "I guess so." Jiang Qijun remained calm and said, "The innate advantage of being a traveler lies here. If you don't act properly as a porter, you'll be sorry for yourself." Looking at the slightly puzzled Tonggu Yelyang, he added calmly, "I usually play gal game a lot, so I thought about borrowing game elements to create this beautiful girl animation. So it's like this." Tonggu Yelyang did not doubt it, and even his eyes towards Jiang Qijun were quite complicated. There is also a talent gap in the animation industry. At least still the new president of a high school student, his expertise in original animation has reached a level beyond his lifetime. DBS Animation Society has the presence of Jiang Qijun and will definitely not continue to decline. Suppressing his excitement, Tomiya Yoshitaka did not directly guarantee that the material cost for producing the anime, Clannad, would still be an issue. If it's just promoting PV, the various departments of the animation company can barely produce it, but if we invest in the real production process, that could be very difficult. I will come up with a solution to the production cost issue. If it doesn't work out, I will go to other investors to get the money. The solution is always more difficult than the difficulty. Jiang Qijun spoke decisively, as long as DBS Animation Society can maintain stability now and avoid the dilemma of the company needing to restructure after investment. This is also an important reason to have a direct conversation with Tomiya Yoshitaka. He added calmly, the character design and storyboarding require the cooperation of other artists. I will be responsible for the script and production supervision of Clannad. The hope for the animation company to turn the tables is right in front of us, hoping to perfectly present the animation project of Clannad. Jiang Qijun must personally control all aspects of anime production. He even has strict requirements for the search of investors, especially in the various neon anime that Jiang Qijun has been exposed to in his past life. OP can basically see the key word, production committee. The production committee is different from independent production, representing that this anime is a supervisory organization jointly funded by many companies. It may even interfere with the production of anime. Jiang Qijun does not like this form, so when seeking from the capital, he tends to find companies with abundant wealth and resources, and directly accepts yuan's applications. That means general contracting. After handling the details of the Clannad anime project, it was already close to noon and Jiang Qijun did not continue to stay. Politely reject the proposal of Tonggu Yelyang to drive himself back to Zongwu High School. Jiang Qijun took the tram back to Daomao district alone, looking at the constantly changing scenery outside the window, his face as if it were another world. In the morning, he was only a second-year student at Zongwu High School. As a result, he directly inherited DBS Animation Society and became a billionaire at a young age, thanks to his strong psychological resilience. I still need to explain the situation to the teacher, and I have to take a break from school for a period of time. Whether it's looking for funding or animation production, the process is more complicated than imagined, and all your energy can be invested to handle it. But both academic and work are carried out simultaneously. Jiang Qijun finds it difficult to balance things at the same time, making it easy to pick up sesame seeds and watermelon, and his learning goal is to have a better life in the future. Unable to handle the situation of DBS Animation Society well, that means carrying a huge debt and even depriving oneself of a place to stay, which is the life without any hope and completely ruined. But if the planning of the animation company went smoothly, relying on the Clannad anime project and a familiar healing anime in memory. The future is right in front of us, and we must consider whether it will be the only opportunity in this life. This is probably his mood at this moment. Approaching 2 p.m., students from Zongwu High School have been returning to school in groups. Jiang Qijun's goal is extremely clear and he will go to the classroom office. If the suspension procedures go smoothly, they can be completed this afternoon. Then, in the office of the second-grade teacher, I saw the delicate and tired face of Shizuki Hiratsuka, and also noticed Jiang Qijun. She picked up the lady's cigarette and stood up, without the posture that a teacher should have. Heizuka Jing arrived at the rooftop of the teaching building, skillfully took out a cigarette, and said calmly, "Jiang Qi, come here and say anything." Good-facing Heizuka Jing, Jiang Qijun has no place to be restrained, and he doesn't have the bad personality portrayed by those anime fans in his past life. Through the contact with Class F during this period, I am definitely a very gentle teacher. No matter what you do, it's always from the perspective of wanting to change students and take responsibility for their future, and sometimes it's cute. If it's an ordinary male tall. Jiang Qijun still enjoys his student days at Zongwu High School, surrounded by many beautiful girls and knowledgeable older sisters as teachers. The key conditions are not allowed. He looked at Heizuka Jing, who had lit his own cigarette without concealing anything, and directly explained the reason. "Teacher, please help me handle the suspension procedures. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 4. Heizuka Jing is a wealthy woman, this script is not right. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. In the puzzled eyes of Jing Heizuka, Jiang Qijun briefly explained the inheritance of DBS Animation Society and becoming a billionaire. After all, the procedures for taking a leave of absence for Neon are quite cumbersome. Unless it's a physical problem or a family upheaval, and with a calm and lovely personality, if you don't explain it clearly. I want to take a smooth leave of absence from school. It's a bit difficult for the homeroom teacher to pass this level. The general situation is that if I continue to stay at school, the bank will have to take my house for auction and bear a huge debt. Teacher Hiratsuka, you don't want to see your students either. There's no place to live on the streets, right? Jiang Qijun was not originally a serious character. He was burdened with debt and decided to create a healing anime, so he began to develop towards being a happy person. Looking at Heizuka Jing with furrowed brows, his smile relaxed and lively. Of course. This also has Jiang Qijun's thoughts. Speaking to this extent, Jiang Qijun should also agree to his suspension procedures. The result was also as expected. Jiang Qi, have you made a decision yet? After putting out the burnt-out cigarette and remaining silent for a while, Hiratsuka asked, unable to refuse Jiang Qijun's request for a leave of absence. It's hard to imagine in this short period of time, such a change happened in Jiang Qijun's family, and she, as the homeroom teacher, only realized it now. If there are only personality issues with students and they cannot smoothly integrate into the class, it is easy to solve. But Jiang Qijun's special situation. Refusing to take a leave of absence indicates that studying is Jiang Qijun's only way out, which is clearly not in the style of Heizuka Jing. What she can do now only by respecting Jiang Qijun's choices and providing assistance to the best of our ability. Setting aside the issue of company management, the animation company can only rely on its works to make a profit, said Heizuka Jing with a calm expression. Can DBS still produce anime in the current situation? Creating a promotional PV should be no problem. If you want to produce a complete anime, you must look for suitable funding. Since we're looking for an investor, we should have an anime business plan, right? Without checking her work attitude, Hiratsuka Jing now looked more like a friend, smiling brightly and saying, "Don't think I'm a teacher, actually I've read more passionate comics than you do. Maybe you can give some insignificant advice." Looking at Heizuka Jing's bright smile, but with an irresistible gaze, Jiang Qijun knew that the teacher was considering him. Only he knows the identity of the traveler. But in Jiang Qijun's eyes, she is just an ordinary student with better grades, and has decided to take a leave of absence and inherit the company to do anime. If it still hits the street, perhaps Hiratsuka Jing would feel that he may not be able to accept continuous attacks and choose suicide. Taking out the printed, Clannad proposal, Jiang Qijun said in a relaxed tone, "Teacher Hiratsuka, this is the next production plan for the animation club." Heizuka Jing did not express her opinion immediately, leaning against the railing and carefully browsing through the document, with a slight frown gradually easing. Even as a passionate fan of manga, she, who is not particularly fond of such youthful campus themes, is still drawn to the plot of Clannad. If there really was such an anime, Hiratsuka Jing thought she would watch it. In terms of the content of the anime project, it looks very interesting, and there will be detailed information on production costs and various aspects in the future. She instinctively turned her gaze to Jiang Qijun and speculated, "Did you create this anime project?" But when Heizuka Jing finished asking, she didn't even give Jiang Qijun a chance to answer, so she shook her head and denied the words just now. "If we could come up with this kind of work, DBS Animation Society will never go bankrupt in any case, but why haven't you noticed before that Jiang Qi has this talent? Sure enough, I can't hide it from the teacher. As for my talent in anime, it may be the potential stimulated by various pressures." Jiang Qijun rubbed his nose and explained that there was indeed no problem with this statement. If it weren't for the mess of DBS Animation Society, which needs to be dealt with by oneself, then I probably wouldn't have embarked on the path of making anime in my lifetime. It is even more difficult to unleash this talent," he said with a relaxed tone. "As for the selection of themes, it can only be said that art originates from life, and there are many happy things in school. But parting is also inevitable." Looking at Jiang Qijun's relaxed expression, it was difficult for Heizuka Jing to empathize, as if she was a student who had met her for the first time. If other students were to encounter such changes, would they really remain optimistic and cheerful like Jiang Qijun? That's just his maturity let Heizuka Jing's mood become even heavier. At his current age, Jiang Qijun should be carefree and enjoying the beauty of campus life. Looking at the Clannad anime project in my hand, there are many happy things in school, but parting is inevitable. Heizuka Jing made a decisive decision, even with a much more serious attitude, and asked, this anime requires a total investment of 300 million yen. Can't it be split into 12 episodes of quarterly films? For Jing's adorable curiosity, Jiang Qijun, although puzzled, replied seriously, although Clannad is somewhat similar to a unit drama. But with a complete storyline, no changes can be made. After all, each light jade represents a different wish, and only in this way can the most complete Clannad be presented. This is also where Jiang Qijun finds it difficult. In the entire anime industry, few companies choose to produce a half-year series of 24 episodes, which poses significant risks in terms of production costs and plot control. The difficulty of finding funding will obviously increase significantly. If it's 300 million yen, it should be no problem to scrape together. After obtaining the accurate answer, Heizuka quietly murmured and calculated the freely available funds. It was obvious that her own efforts were not enough. If you borrow some more from Yang Nai, I can probably gather the money for the anime Clannad. If Jiang Qijun's anime plan is poor and destined to fall into trouble, he should be able to persuade and provide some advice. But obviously, this is an excellent anime work that can help students while earning a little money to buy comics, and Heizuka Jing doesn't mind. Think of it here. With a smile on her face, she patted Jiang Qijun's shoulder in a dazed state and said in a cheerful tone, Jiang Qi, I have a good view of your anime. Leave the matter of funds to me. What? Jiang Qijun was originally puzzled as to why Heizuka Jing suddenly asked about issues related to anime season division and production costs. Then, looking at the smile on Jing Q's face and the hustle and bustle she spoke at this moment, he had no doubt that it was a joke. Although there was no explanation of the Heizuka family in the previous anime, Chuanwu, could a normal high school teacher afford an expensive sports car? Most importantly, being able to directly invest 300 million yen in this anime is beyond Jiang Qijun's imagination, an absolute rich woman. If it weren't for the mess of DBS Animation Society. He even has a strong desire to become a family cook after taking a break from school and directly eating Heizuka Jing's soft rice. I haven't received a response from Jiang Qijun yet. Of course, but my investment has prerequisites. Heizuka Jing added in a calm tone, not worried that this anime would make her lose money, and she had confidence in her judgment. I don't agree with the matter of taking a leave of absence. If the animation company is very busy, you can ask me for leave. At least I hope the departure is for further education. After speaking these words, looking at Jiang Qijun beside him, then Heizuka Jing looked into the distance and sighed, youth is actually very short, even if you hold it tightly with your hands. Still slip through my fingers unintentionally. At least spend a period of happy youth, it will be a meaningful milestone in your life that has not yet begun. Thank you, teacher. Although running dual threads simultaneously may be tiring, if the only condition is to continue staying at school, Jiang Qijun decisively chose to agree. That's because of this contact. In his past life, he was depicted in light novels, anime, and even in the game, Chuanwu, as a cute and serene character, which was countless times more abundant than he had imagined. Jiang Qijun sighed from the bottom of his heart and said, Teacher Heizuka is truly a person from the past, and indeed has a deeper understanding of youth than we all have. And then the shining image that Jing Qi had originally established in his heart was instantly shattered, and even the air was suppressed a lot. He just turned his head. I saw that her expression was frozen, even with a hint of unkindness, and she held onto the railing tightly with both hands, gritting her teeth and saying, "Jiang Qi, don't you know a woman's age? Is it a taboo topic that cannot be mentioned? Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 5. Returning to campus life, but doing things like fishing. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. If there is anything you need help with, just line me directly." Heizuka Jing gently waved her hand. Age is a topic that cannot be mentioned, and if there is another time, she will definitely not be so easily fooled. We must make Jiang Qijun know how to chat with girls gentlemanly. Turning around and leaving the rooftop of the teaching building, since we have made a good decision to invest in this anime, we cannot afford to delay our financial investment. What kind of effect can this anime ultimately present? She also hoped in her heart that this was already a gamble on her wealth, if it could help Jiang Qijun at least not losing hope for life, right? When it comes to investing, you must find time to explain it clearly to Yang Na. High school students who work in anime should be interested. So, is the investment problem solved like this? The empty rooftop of the teaching building and Jiang Qijun holding onto the railing with both hands gave off a feeling of riding a roller coaster. After all, the production cost of Clannad is here. Finding a suitable funding partner can be quite challenging, but what he didn't expect was that Shizuki Hiratsuka had imagined even the rich woman directly contracting the entire cost of the anime, without even inquiring about the detailed plot, let alone negotiating the details of the contract. This kind of relationship belongs to being directly fulfilled. My own Clannad anime must give a perfect answer, at least not let Jiang Qijun's investment lose money, right? Think of it here. The anime management has found me and will pick me up from school at 4:30 p.m. We will immediately start the production and coordination of Clannad. I didn't receive a response from Tonggun Noliang, but the pressure accumulated in Jiang Qijun's heart dissipated at this moment. The animation production cycle is relatively long, and if you don't consider continuing your studies at Neon High School, there won't be much pressure. At most, it's just a bit tiring to rush around. Since the planning aspect has been completed, the next step is the script and design phase, so that we can proceed to formal production. For the animation production process, Jiang Qijun, who was the original painter in his previous life, was quite clear that script production was the easiest stage, just in the morning. He was able to write the first 3 episodes of the Clannad anime. Completing the remaining script with a little bit of effort will take up to 3 days, followed by the tedious workload of character design. Under normal circumstances, it is the people in the production team who go to the original artist with their character requirements to design various characters needed in the plot. But Jiang Qijun's situation is he has an extremely deep impression of the characters required for each episode in this anime, and completing this part of the work is not difficult. It's just a bit time-consuming. As for in school, simple text work can still be completed. Collecting his scattered thoughts, Jiang Qijun did not continue to linger on the rooftop and quickened his pace to return to the floor where second grade was located. Jiang Qijun, who had just entered the class and disappeared all morning, immediately caught the attention of his classmates and greeted them one after another. Due to good social connections, many students are concerned and inquiring. As for inheriting DBS Animation Society, Jiang Qijun did not fully disclose it, and even refused to mention family matters. Just sat in my seat. Jiang Qi, classmate. He could hear lively voices coming from behind, and he didn't even need to turn around to clearly identify the figure approaching. From the light peach-colored hair length of Yubi Bin Jieyi to her shoulders, slight scalding marks can be detected, swaying slightly with her steps. Full of youthful energy. Wearing the uniform and short skirt of General Wu Gao, the shirt outlined her beautiful figure. Alongside her, there were also girls with shawled blonde hair and exquisite makeup, who were the highest ranking in the total Wu Gao's current food chain. Compared to the gentleness of Yumiko Yoshimoto, Yumiko Miura's personality is significantly different. She decisively asked, "Jiang Qi, what happened?" "It's nothing, there's a small matter at home that needs to be dealt with." Jiang Qijun didn't think it was necessary to explain in detail about DBS Animation Society, as the investment aspect has already been resolved. Even if they care about themselves out of goodwill. But it is clear that explaining too much can lead to a change in the atmosphere, and Jiang Qijun still prefers this kind of interaction environment. However, Yumiko Miura still had that inquisitive expression. Jiang Qijun had no choice but to roast. "If it is really something, you can still see me now." Hey, it seems like what Jiang Qi said. Makes a lot of sense. After obtaining the accurate answer, Yubi Bin Jieyi had no doubts and her inner doubts disappeared, with a bright smile on her face. Jiang Qi is a friend who considers himself to have a good relationship. If it weren't for him, then his favorite sausage dog, Saber, would be. It is very likely to be hit by the speeding black sedan. Due to Jiang Qijun's morning leave, Bin Jieyi made an unprecedented attempt to use a notebook to extract key knowledge points. "Jiang Qi, if you want to review materials, I can lend you mine. I have recorded many knowledge points." "Thank you, Yubi Bin." Looking at the extremely gentle Tuanzi with a slightly raised corner of his mouth, Jiang Qijun didn't want to disappoint her kindness and nodded seriously. He can't hate girls like Yubi Bin who have a gentle personality no matter what. Of course, not to the extent of liking, compared to being gentle towards everyone, Jiang Qijun hopes that this tenderness can be exclusive to him. When did you have such a good relationship with Jiang Qi from Bibin?" Observing the sensitive Hai Lao Ming Ji Kai, she noticed something unusual about Tuanzi and pushed her red-framed glasses, teasing her with a tone. "It shouldn't be. No, it's not like that." Without giving Hai Laoming a chance to finish speaking, Yubi Bin blushed and shook his head quickly, feeling a strong urge to cover up. "Even though I'm addicted to Yishan and Jiang Qi, you can't be a classmate from Bibin." "Alright, stop joking about Yubi Bin." The class atmosphere is harmonious, and as a current student, Jiang Qijun enjoys this atmosphere very much, but there is no need for corrupt women to engage in sexual activities with men and CP. With the ringing of the class bell, the classroom, which was originally quite noisy, suddenly fell silent, while the afternoon classes were relatively relaxed, which was his specialty in Chinese language courses. Looking at the enthusiastic teacher on the podium, Jiang Qijun felt sorry and took out the blank draft paper, decisively starting to fish. "Then let's finish making the script first." DBS Animation Society, Conference Room. As the host of this meeting, the usually quiet and reserved kind-hearted Tamiyano Ryo explained the upcoming anime project. Clannad. After chatting with President Jiang Qi about the entire animation, I was completely impressed by his innate talent. I never thought beautiful girl anime can be produced in such a way. Everyone is already aware of the animation company's upcoming plans, and there may be a difficult period of time, explained Yoshitaka Tomiyama in an excited tone. "I hope everyone can work hard together. As for the issue of production costs, I will find a way to solve it with the president." If it were a meeting led by Jiang Qijun, many employees on site would still maintain a skeptical attitude, but the key is that the production team is led by Toshio Tomiya. Can make him all so excited. Although it is unclear what the specific plan is, the employees who choose to stick to DBS Animation Society have a vague expectation in their hearts. Most of them come to this brand new animation company with dreams and aspirations. Everyone hopes that the anime they participate in production can have high praise in the industry and achieve impressive results. As the meeting draws to a close. Finally it's over. Tonggu Yelyang wiped the sweat off his forehead, and this scene made him organize. It was inevitable that he felt nervous, let alone coordinate things. Now wait for President Jiang Qi's leave of absence. The management of the company can be left to him, and this experience is more suitable for him as a technical otaku. Mr. Tongu, thank you for your hard work. After all, Rina Hayasaka is a member of the production team, and she is also very puzzled about what kind of script was able to bring about such a change in Tomiya Nomura. The hard work is still ahead, and we haven't found a suitable investor yet. A total investment of 300 million yen is needed. President Jiang Qijun doesn't want to form a production committee yet. I'm probably worried about getting involved in the production of anime. Tongu Yelyang gently shook his head and walked to the electric water dispenser next to the conference room, preparing to drink a cup of cold water to slightly ease his mood. He can understand Jiang Qijun's thoughts. If the production committee were to act recklessly, it is very likely that the entire anime would be destroyed. Turn on your phone. Just as he was about to report his work to Jiang Qijun, he saw the extremely prominent unread line message. The anime management has found me and will pick me up from school at 4:30 p.m. We will immediately start the production and coordination of Clannad. Looking at the unread message from line, even when the water cup was filled, Ryo Araya didn't notice anything and his expression was full of disbelief. How long has it been? The matter of anime investment was solved by President Jiang Qijun like this. P.S. Seeking various free data, dear readers, your data is the driving force behind the author's coding. 3,000 word chapters sent. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 6. Tedious production work, resulting in the emergence of the peaceful tomb. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Neon High School students have more free time, and the course ends at 3:30 p.m., leaving the remaining time for club activities. During the course time, Jiang Qijun, who completed the first 5 scripts, packed up his things and prepared to leave, greeting everyone who was relatively familiar with him. See you tomorrow, everyone. Jiang Qi, are you not planning to participate in the football department's event? Yi Shan, who was also preparing to go to the club, had a hint of surprise on his face. Jiang Qijun was the ace in the football department. If he's not here, the club training event is destined to have much less fun, and most importantly, Jiang Qijun has never been absent from any activities on weekdays. Yi Shan, please help me talk to the minister. I will make up for the withdrawal application during this period. Jiang Qijun gently waved his hand and took over DBS Animation Society, participating in the production of the new anime, which was more complicated than imagined. Club activities. How important is one's own future? His current idea is very simple. He wants to produce the anime, Clannad, as soon as possible, which is definitely the hope of the animation company turning things around. The Yeshan Falcon, who received an accurate answer, stopped in place to watch Jiang Qijun leave, his eyebrows furrowed slightly and he fell into contemplation. Is it difficult? What happened to Jiang Qi? After hesitating for a moment, he ultimately did not ask further questions, and based on his understanding of Jiang Qijun's personality, if there was anything he could help with, that's definitely not polite. I always feel that Jiang Qi feels strange when he comes back in the afternoon, even taking a break in class and refusing to say hello multiple times. Hubu Xiang placed his hands overlapping on the back of his head, which was very different from Jiang Qijun, who usually interacted with him. He could clearly sense it. The back seat of the classroom is mainly occupied by Yumiko Miura, a rechargeable group. Accustomed to playing the role of a mediator, Yubi Bin, who is in a passive position in social life, hears Yi Shan and Hubu's classmates discussing Jiang Qijun. She instinctively looked at the back of Jiang Qijun as he hurriedly left, and Tuanzi, who was good at observing the atmosphere, noticed a change in the atmosphere. But the current situation. From Bin Jieyi to Sanpu, who was planning to talk about his plans after school, he couldn't think of how to get out of it, so he had to hide that concern in his heart. Jiang Qi, what's wrong with him? Jiang Qijun did not expect that the DBS Animation Society incident would cause various misunderstandings among the classmates in the class. Hurriedly leaving the teaching building, I saw the middle-aged figure of Tonggu Yelyang at the school gate. Standing in front of an older Nissan sedan, observing the students entering and leaving the school with a bitter face, afraid that Jiang Qijun might not remember him. President. Mr. Tonggu, let's first meet with DBS Animation Society. The production funds will be received in about 2.3 days, so we need to prepare for production coordination. Jiang Qijun sat on his own in the back row, sorting out the workflow. With the current staff size of DBS Animation, in order to produce the anime, Clannad, outsourcing is the only option. However, handle all the preliminary work well, and the final animation will definitely not be bad, after all, the script, character design, and supervision. He personally handled everything. Is there a reliable outsourcing company? It's best to organize a job fair during this period. If we can recruit some original artists, photographers, and performers, the work pressure won't be too high. Jiang Qijun is capable of simple supervision work, and every frame of the animation, Clannad, is imprinted in his mind. Only by doing a good job in dividing the lens can one be considered a qualified supervisor. The general meaning of storyboarding is what kind of image is needed for each episode's lens and how to present it perfectly. The requirement for drawing skills is not high. After all, there were many island country animation supervisors in their past lives, and the storyboards they drew were very sloppy. Some even wrote piles of text. Simply explain the content of the screen, but as long as the performance can be understood, there is no problem. After all, there is an original CL to refer to, and Jiang Qijun was also an original painter before his time traveling, which was just a waste of energy. He is concerned about other issues, such as who is more suitable for choosing a voice actor, how to allocate tasks for employees under his command, having multiple roles, and how to balance time. In short, making anime directly is definitely a great challenge for Jiang Qijun, but if the arrow is on the string, there is no reason not to release it. As for the original artist, I have a very good friend, but I don't know if she has any thoughts of switching jobs. In the gap between waiting for traffic lights, Tomiya Nomura pondered for a moment before replying, clear about the importance of the original artist in anime production. According to the storyboard provided by President Jiang Qi, convert it into a layout. Layout means to design a draft or composition, and its function is to thoroughly determine the content of the picture, accurate to the details of each frame. This is also a crucial step in the animation production process. Try to connect as much as possible. If it weren't for the academic situation, I wouldn't even want to draw storyboards and just design the layout. Jiang Qijun shook his head lightly. He now holds multiple positions, including production, supervision, and character design. If he were to take on the responsibility of the original painting, even the Liver Emperor couldn't bear it at all. Moreover, DBS Animation Society cannot move forward on its own, and the entire company needs to operate and cooperate in various ways. He didn't forget to add, by the way, Tonggu, the working hours also need to be adjusted from 2 p.m. to 10 a.m. If it's time to finish work, let's tentatively set it at 22:00 in the evening. Good coming to DBS Animation Company, compared to the difficult situation at noon, among the many employees who stayed, their attitude towards Jiang Qijun has significantly improved. President Jiang Qi. Say hello briefly. Jiang Qijun went straight to the president's office and opened the computer with a very clear goal. Tonight, he must write the script in 12 words. Regarding the matter of production coordination, it will be entirely handed over to Tomiya Nomura and Heizuka Jing. If everything needs to be intervened in, my brain is probably going to explode. And Tomoyano Ryo's business level is also quite online. Although he is quiet outside of work, he is particularly serious in his work. Distribute the production tasks to all employees, even if they hold multiple positions, without any conflicts of working hours. Even if the office is empty. Many employees who choose to stick to the company are now full of enthusiasm, knowing that the anime, Clannad, is DBS Animation's hope for a comeback. Xiao Jing, is this the students' animation club you mentioned? When he learned from his teacher that he had a younger brother who wanted to make an anime, Yukiya Yoshino became very interested in it. Leaving aside the identity of a junior, let's not talk about it. If there is a confirmed return on investment in this anime, she naturally won't miss it. Who would be struggling with the money? And Jiang Qijun is also a student of Xiao Jing. Isn't that Yang Nai suddenly thought of something fun, and the corners of his mouth slightly raised, wearing a sly smile. Heizuka Jing took a deep puff on her cigarette and hesitated as she looked at the student who looked sunny and lively on the outside, but had an incredibly dark heart. Is it the right decision to invite Yang Nai to join? P.S. Thank you for the monthly pass from Brown, and the author is begging for free flowers and review tickets. As long as there is some data, the author will update it to 30,000 words today. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 7. Yang Nai. Compared to investing in anime, I am more. You are listening at novel full.audio. Accompanied by the vibration of his phone, Jiang Qijun looked at the unread message popping up from line, his shoulders slightly sore. Time quietly arrived at 6 p.m. in the evening. Without waiting to feel the rapid passage of time, the chat message that popped up again caught his entire attention. Jiang Qi, I have arrived downstairs at your company. What is the specific floor? Where are people? Fists. JPG, is this preparing to inspect the company? Jiang Qijun originally thought that it would take 2.3 days to quickly move forward and sign the investment contract, but he didn't expect that Shizuki Hiratsuka would come so suddenly. Simple reply message. He brought his phone to pick up Jing Qijun. After all, he is an investor in the Clannad anime project and his attitude must be in place. Then, coincidentally, during the second half of the peak season, just waiting for the elevator consumes a lot of time, stopping at the exit of the office building. Jiang Qijun looked at the bustling crowd and quickly found the figure of Heizuka Jing, wearing a black sleeveless jacket paired with white long sleeves. Her flowing long hair and impressive height are extremely eye-catching. Even outside the school, Hiratsuka Jing still maintains her capable style, but standing beside her, it feels like the figure of a neighboring elder sister. But it made his eyes a bit subtle. Leaving short black hair, wearing a white floral dress, under the snow with a proud figure Yang Na is also observing the surroundings. Here. When she saw Jiang Qijun wearing the uniform of Zongwu High School and looking around clearly looking for someone, she warmly waved and greeted him. They had already been recognized by the other party, so Jiang Qijun had to grit his head and walk over with a smile on his face to receive them. The important plot-driving character in Chunwu is also Snow's sister, with a rank comparable to that of a bad woman in Hiratsuka Jing. What surprised Jiang Qijun was that he had not even had contact with Xuanai yet, but he had met Yang Na in advance because of the anime club. In his past life, he had a detailed understanding of Yang Nai's personality, which can be simply put as a life controlled by a thread. Personality cannot be said to be bad. You must be careful when you get along. If you are not careful, you may be sold. You are always used to pretending to be cheerful. Are you Jiang Qi's classmate? I heard Xiao Jing talk about your situation. I am Yano under the snow, and I can be considered your senior sister. Please give me more guidance. Yang is my senior sister, please give me more guidance. Jiang Qijun had a smile on his face, although Yang was a more troublemaker, at most it was just a private prank. Both sides must have their own bottom line when it comes to investing in anime. He immediately looked at Jing Heizuka and said, Teacher, let's go to DBS Animation Society to have a detailed discussion about anime investment. Sure. Heizuka Jing nodded lightly and invited Yanaga to participate in the investment, partly due to insufficient liquidity, but more importantly, he wanted to leverage the influence of Yanaga's family. If this anime can be broadcasted on Chiba Prefecture TV, the final score will definitely be much better. As for Yang Nai's somewhat mischievous personality, she believes that Jiang Qijun can handle it. Then, hurriedly leaving DBS Animation Society, Jiang Qijun returned to the president's office with two good-looking older sisters. Instantly became the focus of all employees. After pouring them a cup of tea, Jiang Qijun said calmly, "Only barley tea." "I hope you don't mind, teacher, Yang Nai." "I don't know. If Jiang Qijun didn't wear the uniform of General Wu Gao, I think you must be a qualified president now." Yang Nai picked up his cup and took a sip of barley tea, his beautiful eyes curved like crescent moon, praising him in a very natural tone. But I didn't see any reaction from Jiang Qijun's face. This made her already strong curiosity and increasingly interested in Jiang Qijun, leaving aside her talent and abilities. "Just get along with personality. This is definitely smoother than my younger sister Snow, and even has a maturity that is several times higher than that of high school students of the same age. Originally just an ordinary high school student, but due to family reasons, inheriting the anime club, the vast debt needs to be repaid, and there is no future choice at all." Although speaking it out is very hypocritical. But Yang felt that Jiang Qijun's fate was somewhat similar to his own, both of which were planned lives without the right to choose. Of course it is precisely because of this commonality that empathy arises, which is not Yang Nai's personality at all. At most, it is to carefully examine this investment. She still had the same smile on her face and stepped into the main topic, saying, "Jiang Qijun, do you have a more complete version of your beautiful girl anime project? The script for the first 12 sentences has already been written. If there is anything unclear, I can provide you with a detailed explanation." Jiang Qijun used the printer in the president's office to print out scripts from 1 to 12 sessions, as it involved investment. He has already prepared the main profit points and audience goals in advance. It's evident that Jiang Qijun is working extremely hard. Yang Nai took over the script with a smile on his face. Although he was purely inexperienced in the anime industry, the strong visual sense presented by the text. She quickly immersed herself in it, somewhat like a unit drama. Every plot seems to have its own emotions and meanings that Jiang Qijun wants to express to the audience, but unfortunately the script only has 12 episodes. If you can browse through these 24 episodes of anime trends, Young Nightside deserves a more comprehensive evaluation, but at the very least, the current unit plot is undoubtedly excellent. How are you planning to make a profit from this anime? The most important thing should be copyright, buying CDs, and so on. In the future, we will create CL's campus games and fan peripheral products. The profit model of the animation industry is very simple and crude. Both sides are smart people, and as for ensuring how many disc sales there are, this kind of pie-painting behavior is completely unnecessary. Most importantly, Yang is the family behind it, but a well-known political group in Chiba Prefecture. If they could access each other's resources, they might even be able to appear on television. At that time, the sales of BD discs will definitely be higher than expected. Whether it's your experience or the actual level of excellence in this anime, I think no one won't be tempted. Yang Nai wore a smile on his face. It was simply that this animation was too excellent, but to put it nicely, anyone could do it. With a sly smile on her face, she suggested, "Jiang Qijun, actually, I would rather invest in you than invest in animation. An absolute animation genius." Faced with the lively and slightly playful Yang Nai, Jiang Qijun rubbed his nose and realized that this woman's rank was high, not too good. If it weren't for her clear nature, she might have fallen completely. Jiang Qijun's face remained calm with a faint smile, and he added, "Yang is the senior sister and teacher Jing. Let's prepare for the contract then. P.S. Why are there no comments? Dear readers, if there are any shortcomings in this book, you can tell the author in the comments section, and we will read each one carefully and carefully. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 8. Little Devil spreads his Fang. Pit Sisters. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The negotiation on profit sharing went smoothly, and as the copyright owner, Jiang Qijun owns 40% of the revenue from Clannad anime. Heizuka Jing and Yoshino, who invested in production, each have a final return of 30%. This revenue includes playback rights, BD discs, peripheral products, and sales revenue similar to Galgame games. Not included in this contract. Moreover, the contract revenue is limited to CL's first season anime, and if Jiang Qijun wants to produce the second season, there is no need to share it with others. Yang is my senior sister, Teacher Jing, have a pleasant cooperation. Completing the contract signing, although the funds have not yet been received, only the finance department needs to coordinate the follow-up and there is no need for Jiang Qijun to worry. What he needs to do now it is to present the anime, Clannad, in the most perfect way and how to effectively recover production costs. Although DBS Animation Society is just an amateur company, its disc sales channels are very comprehensive. The anime BD discs I came into contact with in my past life were sold in rolls, with 2.3 episodes per roll and approximately 4.6 volumes per season. The average selling price per roll is over 6,000 yen. Clannad is another half-year episode of 24 episodes, with a tentative 12-roll situation. Purchasing a complete set of BD discs would cost 80,000 yen. The average sales volume can reach 30,000. The investments of Yoshino and Heizuka Jing will not incur losses. If we include the broadcasting rights and peripheral products, it will definitely be possible to earn tens of millions of yen. And then how should Jiang Qijun consider promoting Clannad in all aspects of Neon in order to maximize sales? After the investment matters were over, Dong Nai, who was originally strong in aura, instantly transformed into a lively and lovely personality. She patted the lady's bag and finally threw a pitiful expression at Heizuka Jing, but her words pointed directly at Jiang Qijun. Xiao Jing, I came in a hurry and haven't had dinner yet. Do you mind if I grab a meal? After all the money has been invested in Jiang Qijun. Compared to Heizuka Jing's direct neglect, Jiang Qijun found it difficult to resist the pitiful gaze of Yang Nai. This is definitely a grinding fairy. Just staring at each other, he quickly lost the battle and said helplessly, since Senior Yang hasn't eaten yet. Then let me treat you this time. Hey, Jiang Qijun is indeed a gentleman. If it were high-end Japanese cuisine or Western cuisine, the current balance would definitely be powerless, but after all, Yoshino and Shizuka Hirasuka helped themselves solve the most critical problem. A place for treating guests to meals is naturally not too casual. Coming to the vicinity of CBD, Jiang Qijun was already mentally prepared for bleeding with a decent Western cuisine. Waiter. Choosing a seat by the window, Ong Nai picked up the menu without any courtesy to Jiang Qijun, and greeted the waiter before starting to order. For the appetizer, we'll have black truffle and fresh fruit seafood salad, cream mushroom soup, Wellington steak with red wine and toast, and chocolate hazelnut cake for dessert. When Yang was ordering, Jiang Qijun didn't think there was anything special, but he just took the menu and looked at the price clearly. The slightly tugged corners of the mouth already indicate one's mood. If he didn't leave directly, it would be rude. Suddenly, he felt that the Lamian noodles shop downstairs was very good. Not like Yang Nai. After selecting dishes that were reasonably priced and could fill his stomach, Jiang Qijun handed the menu to Heizuka Jing beside him. Just turned my head. He met Yang Nai's playful gaze, her slender and fair hands resting on her chin, looking at him with great interest. Jiang Qijun, you can order whatever you want. Faced with Yang Nai's teasing, Jiang Qijun controlled his expression and said, "You can click whatever you want. It's him who will pay the bill later." He countered calmly, "Being able to have dinner with Teacher Jing is already enough. After all, there is a saying called, beautiful and delicious." Yang Nai's expression was quite displeased, and she turned her gaze to Heizuka Jing. Although her appearance was indistinguishable from Autumn, she was still very young. Of course, these words will definitely not be spoken. As for Jiang Qijun's silent counterattack, she didn't mind at all and increasingly felt that her junior was interesting. It's very fun. If you have Yang as a social activist, the atmosphere will definitely not be successful. After gossiping about Jiang Qijun's interpersonal relationships, he quickly shifted his attention to the promotion process of the Clannad anime. If we only rely on online channels for promotion, it will be difficult to increase the sales of BD discs. Do you have any other methods, Jiang Qijun? To achieve better sales, one can only rely on TV station promotion. As long as one can obtain broadcasting qualifications, sales can definitely double. Although I don't know what kind of ulterior motives Yang is harboring, as long as there are questions about anime. Jiang Qijun patiently explained to investors, after all, she had promised not to interfere in the production of anime. With the qualifications of DBS Animation Society, it should be a bit difficult to achieve, right? Yang Nai wore a faint smile on his face, and if he wanted to solve this problem with his family relationship, at least Chiba Prefecture Television had no problem at all. However, she didn't have any intention of extending a helping hand, but instead thought of something very interesting, her eyes cunningly looking at Heizuka Jing. "Xiao Jing, I heard that Xiaoxue is the minister of the attendance department, the club that specializes in helping students solve their problems. Shouldn't it be able to help Jiang Qijun a little?" After a moment of silence, Heizuka did not give a response and considered whether this matter would be too hasty for Snow. After all, Xue is in school and basically handles some simple things like interpersonal relationships with classmates. If it involves contact with the outside world, especially regarding the commission of promoting the Clannad anime, it's definitely a hellish difficulty. After a moment of silence, Heizuka replied, "It depends on her opinion. If Jiang Qijun has no clue about propaganda, you can go to the service department to find Xiaoxue. She is my sister." Yang Nai had a playful smile on his face and winked at Jiang Qijun. If Snow had not yet dealt with this matter when the anime was officially released, then she would consider intervening. Line. Jiang Qijun has no objections, as he understands that Yang wants to help Xue grow through his own means. Of course. There are obviously more elements of causing trouble. If you refuse directly, you may still entangle yourself in the future. Simply agreeing now can save a lot of things. Like in the past life fan fiction, various forced scenes of joining the attendant department did not occur. Instead, they became clients and sought Snow's help, probably no different from the first party, right? And from the perspective of Snow's ability, it can indeed help him leave a lot of time, and there is no reason why he doesn't need free tools. The organizer of this dinner, Yang Nai, was very happy to invest in the Clannad anime of DBS Animation Society and also met the very interesting Jiang Qijun. After finishing her red wine and feeling slightly tipsy, she still dragged Heizuka Jing to the frequently visited Jujio house to continue the second scene. Only Jiang Qijun was left in the Western restaurant, looking at the huge dinner bill. It shouldn't be unreasonable to pay myself a little salary when I have multiple positions, otherwise I will starve to death in the next few months. Jiang Qijun has some scalp tingling, so it is necessary to reduce contact with Yang Na in the future. Jian Yang is definitely not a good person. Be mentally prepared, take out your wallet and prepare to pay the bill. Result. After the cashier at the front desk entered the bill, she wore a professional smile on her face and apologized, saying, "Sir, the lady who paid the bill earlier has already done so." "Is that the girl wearing a white dress?" "That's right, sir." Leaving the Western restaurant, what Jiang Qijun didn't expect was how careful he was to guard against her, as he was still being tricked by Yang Na. The reason for investing in Clannad anime is that exposure is inevitable. Thinking of this, Jiang Qijun couldn't help but clench his fists and make a decisive decision in his heart. We must slaughter her hard next time. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 9. It was intentional and unintentional being late. You are listening at novel full.audio. The work of anime production is quite heavy. After finishing dinner, Jiang Qijun returned to DBS Animation Society, and his work hours have been modified. He, as a boss, really leads by example. After all, the script, storyboard, character design, and many other tasks have not been completed yet. I want to quickly produce the Clannad anime. Becoming the Liver Emperor is inevitable. The person in charge of the production team, Toshio Tomiya, has already allocated all the work to DBS Animation Society, which is approaching 7 p.m. in the evening. The lights are still brightly lit, and everyone is striving for their jobs. Tonggu, the script for the first 12 episodes of CL has been completed. You need to cooperate with me to assign tasks. As for the original painter, is there anyone in the DBS animation community who can independently create layouts? Animation scripts can be considered the simplest task, and now CL already has the content of the first 12 episodes, which can be completed in up to 2 days. Next, it's the heavy workload of storyboarding and character design work. To improve the efficiency of CL animation production, it is necessary to synchronize it. Jiang Qijun is not very familiar with the overall level of the company's employees. In this situation, accurate information can only be obtained from the production of Tomiya Noyoshi. President, there is a skilled original artist in the company now, but she is good at background painting and needs to find some reliable original artists. Then, the job fair is already being prepared. Tonggu Yelyang reports on various work tasks, and the production team is responsible for managing the progress of the entire anime production. And then even various miscellaneous tasks in the DBS animation community need to be undertaken. Then recruit and brush one batch at a time, and gradually cultivate those who are recruited. If there are suitable industry personnel, you can consider giving them a job-hopping fee. After assigning the work tasks, Jiang Qijun looked at his phone and saw that it was approaching midnight, continuing to linger. It's probably difficult to catch even the tram. If he misses it, he doesn't want to become a resentful customer of neon taxis, carrying unfinished work documents. Jiang Qijun decisively left DBS Animation Society. As the president of a company, I don't live in a high-end residential area, it's just a standalone house in an ordinary residential area. Although there is no need to repay the mortgage. But his vengeful father has already mortgaged this house to the Neon Central Bank, and if he cannot repay the loan within the deadline, the house will be taken away by the bank. Being on the streets is not a joke for Jiang Qijun. He returned to the empty house and simply cleaned up. Start the second round of Liver Emperor's daily routine. First, create the storyboard for the first episode and synchronize it to maximize efficiency. It wasn't until after 2 a.m. that Jiang Qijun had time to rest, and after being busy all day, he almost fell asleep. Jiang Qijun. Did you intentionally not take leave or were you careless? Teacher, it was intentional. Careless. Faced with the sharp gaze of Heizuka Jing, Jiang Qijun's face remained calm and cunning, and he just missed the first class. Still a quiet and lovely class. After all, both sides are well aware of his current situation, so they just slightly delayed the alarm by half an hour. And I was only 1 hour late, not so serious as to be absent from class. What does it mean to be 1 hour late? Heizuka Jing's expression froze directly, as she had never seen someone so straightforward and confident before, even though she was aware of Jiang Qijun's current situation. This guy definitely stays up late until the early morning, even for energetic young people. Staying up late for a long time is definitely an act of overdrawing her body. She found a black coffee can from the cabinet and handed it to Jiang Qijun. Jiang Qi, let's not do this again. Don't let me catch you sleeping in class, Heizuka Jing warned solemnly. Although the tone was very harsh, one could still feel Jiang Qijun's concern for himself. Jiang Qijun picked up the coffee and the result was that it cut off the run. Of course. When he left, he still joked, Teacher Hiratsuka, you're actually very gentle when you're not angry. What does it mean to not get angry? It's still very gentle. After hearing Jiang Qijun's nonsense literature, I watched him leave behind. Heizuka Jing's serious expression didn't even catch her tongue. She shook her head gently. Couldn't it be that in Jiang Qijun's eyes, she was really gentle? Since even students think they have a good personality, why have they been single since birth? Think of it here. Heizuka Jing, who was about to turn 3 years old, felt inexplicably agitated and habitually pulled out a cigarette to light, suspecting life. Without the many pressures that troubled him yesterday, Jiang Qijun's mood relaxed a lot and he returned to his usual state of being together. Fishing is unavoidable. However, only scripts and character designs can be completed in school, and the workload of creating storyboards is significant, requiring a quiet atmosphere. The school is clearly not suitable. Returning to Class F of Grade 2, during class break, students gathered separately, but there were also many who took the initiative to greet Jiang Qijun. Just returned to my seat. Yubi Bin Jieyi, who was behind the classroom, had already figured out a reason. After asking what kind of drink Sanpu and Hai Laoming wanted, he walked briskly to Jiang Qijun's side. Good morning, Jiang Qi. Tuanzi's slightly chubby cheeks, still with a gentle smile, greeted him and asked, I'm going to buy something. Do you have anything to bring? Let's go together then. We haven't even had breakfast yet. Due to catching the tram, Jiang Qijun is still not hungry and even needs to go to a convenience store for lunch. If you don't fill your stomach. I believe even if it's fishing, there will definitely be no state. Yubi Bin Jieyi spoke lightly and quickly replied, then let's set off. There are still 10 minutes left for rest, so there should be enough time. Let's go. If I'm late for class again, Teacher Heizuka will definitely not let me go. For breakfast, buying 2 loaves of bread is enough. After paying the bill, Jiang Qijun opened the packaging directly and prepared to fill his stomach. After purchasing the materials, Yubi Bin's expression was somewhat conflicted, and she could sense that Jiang Qijun seemed to have encountered something. My recent state has been a bit strange. Because in the past, Jiang Qijun would never be late or suddenly withdraw from the club, but Bibin couldn't secure his position. Even if you want to care about Jiang Qijun, there seems to be no reason, right? On the way back to the teaching building, Tuanzi occasionally used a corner of his eye to look at Jiang Qijun walking beside him and asked softly, Jiang Qi, are we friends, right? As long as you think about it, you can be a good friend with Bibin. Although not clear about Bibin's thoughts, Jiang Qijun replied seriously that he could establish a good relationship with a beautiful girl. He doesn't mind this kind of thing. Moreover, the other party is still a girl who is dressed in Bibin's clothes and gentle to the bone. If it's like Sagami, it's absolutely impossible. What do I mean by what I think? The pretty face of Bin Jieyi burst into a smile, and even the tone of roast about Jiang Qijun had a little coquetry feeling. Suddenly grabbing Jiang Qijun's arm, she said in a gentle tone, Jiang Qijun, since you are a good friend, you should be able to confide in your friends when encountering things, right? Maybe we can find a solution. Jiang Qijun was caught off guard by Bin Jieyi's initiative, but looking at her gentle smile, he instantly guessed the reason. It's about inheriting DBS Animation Society and debt-related matters. It was only natural for Jiang Qijun, who had a gentle personality, to notice that his state had been slightly off in the past few days. After all, Yubi Bin Jieyi is such a gentle and careful girl. Seemingly naive, one often hides their worries deep, to some extent, in order to integrate into the outfit worn by the current group. And according to the normal progress of the Chuanwu plot, it seems that Tuanzi has already joined the attendant department, while a dark investor named Yang Nai is involved. Her thoughts are very obvious. I want to use the anime, Clannad, to add some pressure to my sister Snow and help her grow faster. Going as the principal is destined to be known by Bin Jieyi. So let's just take advantage of the current opportunity and get her vaccinated in advance. Jiang Qijun thought of this and nodded, asking, "You Bibin, have you joined the attendant department?" It is obvious that Yubi Bin Jieyi did not follow Jiang Qijun's thinking. If something happens, why can it be related to the club? However, she still replied, "Teacher Hiratsuka told me that she has been a bit busy these days." Since Jiang Qijun, if you have something to attend to in the Ministry of Attendance, then let's go together. I happen to be going there this afternoon to report as well. Thank you, my current situation is quite special. I will explain it to you clearly after waiting for the service department, by Bibin. If it's making a passionate anime, Jiang Qijun never thought of hiding it. The most crucial issue is that his mind is filled with healing anime that uses tear gas, and his self-proclaimed identity is waiting for the audience to give him a blade. Hey, I'm glad to be able to help Jiang Qijun, too. You can get the answer in the clear afternoon, but Yubi Bin Jieyi didn't ask, and even her mood was a bit tinged with joy. She whispered, "And Jiang Qijun, you can just call me Jay. P.S. Simply put, the update status of this book is guaranteed to be 5 chapters and 10,000 words per day. It is certain to have a harem, but without a system, it does not actually affect it. Then it's time to add the update rule, 2,000 flowers plus 1 update, 200 evaluation tickets plus 1 update, 5 monthly tickets plus 1 update, no upper limit. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 10. Snow. I am a high school student, not a super. You are listening at novel full.audio. The rear seat is by the window. The seat where Jiang Qijun is located is a standard configuration for the protagonist. As long as it is not particularly aggressive, it is difficult to detect any fishing activities. Except for the break time in the morning, most of my energy is focused on writing scripts. The progress has reached the 17th session, and it will take at most 1 day to complete, as well as the character and image design of the pile word count. Conservative measures will take another 5 days, but it does not hinder the promotion of the matter, and Snow in the Ministry of Attendance does not have the rich life experience of Jiang Qijun in his past life. Even if the promotional PV is produced, it may not be possible to come up with a complete plan. Jiang Qijun, let's go to the club first. Jiang Qijun, who had solved his lunch problem, had just returned to the classroom when he was reminded by Bin Jieyi to go to the service department. As it is the first time that Tuanzi has joined the club. The homeroom teacher Heizuka Jing thoughtfully led them to the floors assigned to various clubs, with the attendant department being extremely prominent. The reason is that it is empty and only seats are stacked behind the classroom. The plot development is particularly similar to the original work, with Heizuka Jing, dressed in a white coat and a black suit, directly opening the classroom door. I saw a chair placed by the window in the empty classroom. A girl with long hair, also dressed in the uniform of the shogun, gently closed her book and looked at the figure of Heizuka Jing without any surprise. Her cold face furrowed slightly, and her tone reminded calmly, "Teacher Heizuka, I should have told you to knock on the door when you come in. Even if I knock on the door, you never reply." Heizuka Jing had no intention of arguing with the girl with this question. She looked at Yubi Bin Jieyi and Jiang Qijun beside her and introduced in a cheerful tone, I believe you should be able to get along well. Hello student under the snow, I am here to join the service department. I am Yubi Bin Jieyi from Class F, Grade 2. Please give me more guidance. Yubi Bin Jieyi wore a bright smile on her face and greeted her with an especially lively greeting. And what about this one? I know that among the new members of the Ministry of Attendance, only Yoshimoto Baihama is correct. Can Hiratsuka explain it a bit? Snowy Snow is known in advance that there will be a girl joining the service department, as they are all girls who should be easier to get along with. Although she is not interested in everyone in the school, she has still heard of Jiang Qijun's name and her academic performance hovers among the top 5 in the grade. The popularity in the school is also very good, and it can definitely be considered as a top-tier recharge. He is also my student, Jiang Qijun. Heizuka Jing waved her hand, with a hopeful smile on her face. Jiang Qijun, who had a carefree but mature personality, was completely different from a high school student. Utilize the promotional commission of CL Anime. Perhaps he can save Snow's bad personality, she added. He came to the Ministry of Attendance and has something to seek your help with. The specific matter is up to you to discuss on your own. After hearing this explanation, Xue's eyes were also examining Jiang Qijun, who had excellent academic performance and good social connections. She couldn't imagine what would bother this boy. But after all, the establishment of the Ministry of Attendance is essentially to help others. Since Jiang Qijun has a need, Snow will definitely not refuse. Heizuka Jing's style of behavior is almost the same as her temper, not bound by small details, just a simple explanation, and just left the Ministry of Attendance. Under the snow, students, please give me more guidance. Jiang Qijun looked at the flower of the high mountains in the school, and in his past life, he could be considered a spring scholar no matter how he said it, knowing the character of Xue Na. Beautiful, wise, decisive and steady in handling things, Snow under Snow can be said to be the most perfect goddess in the eyes of those around her. Leaving aside aspects of personality distortion. If you really want to find flaws in her, it should be easy for her to look down and see her shoes. Yubi Bin, this is an application to join the department. Once completed, I will submit it to the teacher. Xue ignored Jiang Qijun's greeting. After all, the matter of new members joining the department was even more important. After reminding the team, it was time for them. She then turned her gaze to Jiang Qijun and asked coldly, so, Jiang Qi, what do you need help with? Yubi Bin, who was originally still filling out the application for joining the ministry, also looked up at Jiang Qijun with a curious expression in his eyes. That's probably how things are. Jiang Qijun's tone was slightly helpless, omitting matters related to family and inheriting the promotion of DBS Animation Society and new animation. Give a simple explanation to Xuanai and Yubi Bin Jieyi. Hey, no wonder Jiang Qijun suddenly left school yesterday morning and didn't even participate in the club after school, so you just left school. With an expression of disbelief on his face, Yubi Bin Jieyi did not suspect that Jiang Qijun was deceiving him, even in terms of logic. They can all be completely self-consistent. She herself envies Jiang Qijun, who not only manages interpersonal relationships in school well, but also maintains a stable position at the top of her grade ranking. What Yubi Bin Jieyi didn't expect was, as both high school students, I find it difficult to express my inner thoughts, and Jiang Qijun has become the president of a company. No wonder Jiang Qijun always feels absent-minded. Xue was silent for a moment, and her gaze fell on Jiang Qijun. Since teacher Heizuka brought him to serve the ministry, she was basically certain of the authenticity of this matter. As for the so-called propaganda, it should be to help promote the new anime and increase its popularity in Zongwu High School, or to promote activities on online social platforms. However, since she can produce anime, she doesn't believe that Jiang Qijun's DBS Animation Society has no channels for promotion. So, Jiang Qi, your request is to cooperate with the Student Union of Wuhan High School to help you promote the new anime on campus. Looking at Snow's contemplative expression, Jiang Qijun felt a certain sense of guilt in his heart. He grabbed the back of his head with his hand, feeling slightly embarrassed. No, even if there are anime fans in the school, there are only 5% of them. So, what I would like to ask Xue for help with is whether I can get the qualification to broadcast on Tokyo TV or Chiba Prefecture TV. After hearing Jiang Qijun's specific demands, Xue Zhi XueAudience's cold face froze and he worked hard to calm down. I don't even have the idea of discussing detailed content with Jiang Qijun. Finally, she spoke in a particularly serious tone and said, Jiang Qi, in your opinion, I am indeed excellent in all aspects, but what I want to emphasize is, I'm a high school student, not Superman. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th.